All right, so we are finally getting back into the reviews, and we're going to be doing a mousepad review today. However, I do want to state the reason why I haven't been putting out videos all too much is because my schedule for work has been very busy. I've been working a lot more recently, especially as we get closer and closer to the Mariah Carey season. That is Christmas. So working a lot more hours. My schedule's been messed up, split weekends as well. But I am going to try and put out some more reviews. Also, new camera angle. A little bit weird, I know, maybe if you've seen my other videos, but we're going to try this for now. But anyways, getting into the review here, we have the Wraith Esports Cosmic Glass version 2. And I do want to state that I bought this through Lethal Gaming Gear, not through Wraith Esports main website. And so I paid $106 for it. I visited Wraith Esports website somewhat recently, and the entire website didn't translate completely, but the conversion of their currency to USD said the mouse pad was roughly $65, but that's not including shipping and taxes. So I'm not too sure what the pricing on that would be. And also they are overseas, so I'm not sure entirely on what that overall pricing would be to have it shipped from them directly to me compared to Lethal Gaming Gear to me, who is located here in the US. But if you are overseas, try and check through them to see what their pricing is for you and how that is. Otherwise, you could potentially check other online retailers. So in terms of usage, I've been using this pad for roughly over a week now. But anyways, let's get into the bad of the mouse pad. Really quick, as always, I feel as though I always have to reiterate this. I'm always going to reiterate this. With any glass pad, every single glass pad I do a review for, it's going to be an issue of cleaning the mouse pad. Always, always, always. Anything and everything that's on the pad, you are going to feel. Like any hairs, any dust, any little bits of food, even like a crumb, tiny little crumb. With a cloth pad, it might sink in, it might be rolled over, but with a glass pad, you are going to feel it, especially if it gets stuck in between your mouse and the pad, like a little piece of hair. It's not going to scratch, but you are going to feel that like scratching sensation going across until you clean the pad. I always have to clean my pads like twice, 3 times, sometimes depending on the day, 5 times even, if my hair is just not like playing nice, because I do shed hair. I shed quite a bit of hair. It's not fun at times. So now getting into the main issue of this pad, which is actually some tracking / sensor issues or like compatibility with some sensors. These two mice being the biggest culprits of what I have on my desk, or at least what I used, which is pretty much only these 3 mice. I've only tested it with these 3, but the Death Adder worked perfectly fine. The Lamzu had some issues with liftoff distance 1. Changing it to a 2 LOD completely fixed the issue. I haven't had any tracking issues since. The G-Wolves, completely fucked. Changing it from low to high, high to low, didn't do anything. It's still completely fucked. And also, I've switched out the skates. I went to a dot skate from a different mouse pad, which will be in a different review. But those were a different thickness than the sapphire dots I had on here. It didn't do anything. Again, changing liftoff distance with those skates, and then going back to the normal G-Wolf skates that come with the mouse, did nothing as well. Changing liftoff distances. These are slightly different thickness as well from the dot skates that I was using. Did not help. It still has major issues, which sucks for me personally, because G-Wolf's HSK 4K Pro is my personal favorite mouse, honestly, and it sucks that I can't use it on this mouse pad. I've mainly been using the Lamzu Atlantis Mini as of recent. I have used the Death Adder for a few days as well. I had no issues with it, but I will say I did find someone else online. I believe their issue was actually with the first Cosmic glass pad, but it was a purple one, all purple, no design. I believe they also had a Death Adder V3. I might be wrong, but it was a Razer Death Adder of some sort, and they seem to had major tracking issues as well on the pad. And Razer, they allow you to have like a smart tracking through their Synapse software, where it pretty much reads the surface and then judges it and then fixes accordingly, so then it can track. But apparently for that user, that didn't work at all for them. But for me, on this specific pad, it works perfectly fine on the default setting. It could just be because there's a design on here versus just one colorway, and also maybe because it is the second iteration, maybe they fix some things. Obviously not completely, since I do have issues of my own, but there are still some issues with tracking, it seems, and potentially with other mice as well that I haven't tried out yet. Now moving on, this isn't as big of a problem in comparison, pretty minor, but the base is not super great on here. They have little rubber feet on each corner. I'll show you in a second, but if I put my hand on here, I can move it, and it's not like a very slow move in comparison to other pads. Like, considering the weight of a glass pad, this is moving pretty fast. And then also I'm putting force downwards onto it, so again, very concerning. So if we flip it over here, obviously this isn't a good angle, but they have just these corners, these rubber little pads on each corner. There's only 4, and so far they don't really feel good. As you saw, it was moving. It doesn't hold like super well. This is the only pad that I've had a problem with in terms of the glass pads where it moves. Not only that, it's the only one that's moved while I was playing a game. Mainly CS2 is what I've been playing, so I'm just moving like this ever so often. However, I have found the pads to have moved like slightly downwards or sideways. Obviously that does require a bit of force, so it's probably just the way I play, but still, regardless, that shouldn't happen, especially with the glass pad. And again, I am putting force downwards onto the pad, so whatever they used is not super great, it seems, in the glass pad market, or at least what I've tested. As I stated, it's a very minor issue. It's not big. It's just slightly disappointing, but maybe I should just fix the way how I play. But it's just concerning that this actually moves, or who knows, maybe it's just my desk. Maybe it's time for me to buy an actual good desk. Now on to the good. There's not too much to say, really. I feel as though I'm saying the same exact thing with like every glass pad, aside from like how fast it moves. But it's a somewhat slow, decent glide, very smooth. However, the surface itself doesn't feel super glossy, if that makes sense. It's like a comparison between like a matte finish mouse and a glossy mouse. This also isn't a good comparison. It doesn't show up well on camera, but like a glossy mouse would be like the super glide mouse pad, where it's just super fast. I just realized that those are glass skates. I should not do that, but it's like super fast, feels almost like ice, whereas this is more textured, almost like the GameSense Sonar. I'm not sure how many of you know of that mouse pad in terms of its texture and how it feels, but it's very more slow in that sense. I'm trying to find good metaphors here or analogies, and the best one I could come up with, like I said, is a glossy mouse versus a matte finish mouse, or even with like a car, glossy paint versus like a matte paint. Like this would be like a matte paint in terms of how it feels and looks, versus a more glossy pad like a super glide. So it definitely helps with the control of the pad. Doesn't feel like it's going to be flying anywhere, but doesn't also feel like it's moving through mud or anything like that. But overall, it is a decent standout controlled pad in the glass pad market. Just a few more glides here. Like, it's again, it's not super fast, but it's not stopping on a dime by any means in comparison to like the GameSense Sonar, where it's very slow and controlled. But like I said, it's not flying across the pad like a super glide. I would say this is a more textured skypad, but slightly faster. I'd put it like in between the Razer Atlas and the skypad in terms of its speed and control. So now we are here at the end of the video, and I know I didn't really say all too much, but I did want to bring up the concern of the pad with the sensors, which is going to also be the reason why I am unable to really recommend the mouse pad. So you would have to do some research that other people have done and what they've stated. Like I said, I found the one review of the person with the Razer Death Adder who had tracking issues. Here I am giving you my experience with it, with tracking issues with the Lamzu Atlantis Mini and the G-Wolves HSK. So obviously if you have that mouse, the G-Wolves, you can't use this mouse pad at all. The Lamzu, you can't use it at all if you're on liftoff distance 1, but you can use it on liftoff distance 2. However, the Death Adder worked fine for me, but for others might not, as I stated before. So for your specific mouse that you are using, you're probably going to have to try and find another review out there, or at the very least someone who has a review with a mouse that has the same sensor as whatever you are using. That is the reason why I can't fully recommend this mouse pad. But for those of you that do have a mouse that is compatible, like the Lamzu, with the changed LOD, I'm going to keep iterating that, then it's a decent recommendation for roughly around the $106 price range. If you are looking for, like I said, something in between the Razer Atlas and SkyPad, where you want that control but you don't want the mouse just flying across. I know I just threw it across the pad, but you know, of something of that sort of control and speed, but not super fast. Definitely pretty nice, aside from the tracking issues. But anyways, that will be it for this review. Hopefully you guys found it somewhat informative and helps you with your next purchase of a mouse pad or glass pad. Gave you some insight on this pad specifically, and also I will try and put out some more videos. I know I haven't really been putting anything out, but anyways, see you guys later.